Good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Rex, and it's Wednesday. We are now, I guess we'd call it, at about chapter 7 in our novel, okay, of our biblical narrative. And we mentioned at the end of chapter 6 that after the prophets had spoken and after the promises had been given, the Old Testament ends on kind of a minor note. And it seems like it's still waiting for something more to happen. Well, true to the design of a great novel, we come then to the New Testament, and immediately we see that the promise is kept. You know, when we come to the very first verse of the New Testament, it tells us that it begins with a record of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. And the very first book of the New Testament takes us back to the beginning chapters of the Old Testament. Now that means that we have one continuous story in the Bible. It's not just little bits and pieces and snippets of information or little quotes gathered together. It is one long epic story, as we've been talking about. Well, when Jesus comes not only in Matthew, but we find the record of his earthly ministry, not in Matthew, but we find it also in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And in each of those, then, we find this account of Jesus coming. He is the Messiah. He is the King that was promised to David. And he comes promising that eternal kingdom that was offered to David. Now, more than that, he comes as the Son of God. Now that's interesting because here is God in human flesh. Now that's a fascinating novel. If you've been to any of the Marvel movies and the superhero movies, Stan Lee always, used to write himself in at some point in the movie and he would make an appearance. Well, that's sort of what's happening right here in the Gospels. God in human flesh is appearing in his story. He shows up. Now, the shocking thing here, though, is, again, as soon as the promise is kept, we see this twist in the plot because the king comes, but the king is rejected. The kingdom is offered that Israel had been waiting for 400 years between the testaments. And the kingdom is offered and they reject the kingdom. Now, sometimes, we read the New Testament and we lose the sense of the shock of that, the power of that event. But this is God in human flesh, the King of Kings, and he is rejected and crucified. Now, the crucifixion itself is a complication to our plot that leaves us wondering, well, what could happen now where the King himself has been crucified? How can there ever be a kingdom? And so again, we find with the promise, we see it immediately followed by a complication. So the plot is developing. So we're through the Gospels. We're going to take a little further look tomorrow and kind of see what happened after that. But in the meantime, glance through your Bible and take a good look at the story of all stories about the King of all kings and the Lord of all lords. Anyway, bye for now. See you tomorrow. God bless.